Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Samantha, and I'm from Safeopedia. Here at Safeopedia, it is our mission to support you, the EH&S professionals, operational folks, and any safety-minded individuals with free safety information, tools, and education. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to all of our dedicated safety professionals for the great work they do on a daily basis in keeping us and our workplaces safe. Today, we are proud to present JET Material Handling Training, Manual Hoists, and Material Lift. This Safeopedia webinar has been made possible today by JET Material Handling, a preferred manufacturer member of AD. Together we win. Today, we have Kyle Thompson, Chuck Holcomb, and Chuck Gibson, and they're going to give you an in-depth look at JET Manual Hoists, the backbone of safe and reliable lifting in industrial environments. I'm very excited to have you all sit back, relax, and enjoy this presentation. With that, let's jump into it.
Good morning, and thank you, Samantha, for this wonderful opportunity to speak to everyone here about a wonderful opportunity of hoists and material lifting that we have here. We have Kyle Thompson on with us, who is our product manager and a very knowledgeable and experienced professional who has designed many products for JET in our material handling line, and then as well as a material lift you'll see later on today. So wanted to take a moment, and again, thank you all. If there's any questions, please put them into the chat between Samantha and I. We will address those questions. And with that, I turn it over to Kyle. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I'm going to just start off with, why choose JET? JET's a lifting brand that's been in business for 67 years, and there's a lot of lifting legacy that is surrounded with the JET brand. A lot of technology that we have brought to the market. And we also lead the market in terms of our warranties that we offer on our product. Our manual hoists have a lifetime warranty. We also include a lifetime warranty on our fuse brake technology, which I'll touch on later. And then our electric hoist, we also have a industry standard 2-year warranty. So you have comprehensive coverage in terms of making sure that we have a good quality product that goes out to you, that you can depend on, and you can do more with JET. When we look at our product offering, JET has a complementary line of product, a full suite of product in our manual and electric hoists. Starting off with our electric hoist, we offer product in the range of 1/8 of a ton all the way through to 5 ton in various different series. So whatever your needs might be, whether you have a need for a 115 volt hoist or you have a 460 volt 3-phase system that you're trying to set up, we have that product offering that can take care of that need. We also have these in various lengths that start at 10 feet and go all the way through to 100 feet, depending on the product that you select. In terms of our manual hoists, we have a full suite of products, again, in our lever hoists and our hand chain hoists. These products start in capacities of 1/4 of a ton and go all the way through to 20 tons. Again, a full line of different heights of lift, starting at 5 foot in our lever hoists and going all the way through to 100 foot in certain variants of our hand chain hoists. We also offer a full line of lifting accessories. These include beam clamps, manual trolleys, as well as motorized trolleys on select electric units. So let's start off with the differences between a chain hoist, hand chain hoist, and a lever hoist. Essentially, your hand chain hoists, these are primarily used for vertical lifting. These are precision lifting devices, and most manual hoists are designed to be compact portable hoists. So if this in contrast to a lever hoist utilizes a lever as its operating mechanism, where a hand chain hoist is a chain that is driven through a hand wheel. And lever hoists, where they differ mainly other than the control operation, they are predominantly used in horizontal tensioning and pulling. JET hoists are designed to make sure that we meet the needs of all market segments, whether you are in oil and gas, mechanical, construction, basic maintenance and repair operations. We have a line of product that can be tailored and suit your needs. So one of the things that we make sure that we do when we're assessing the market and making sure that we have the right product offering for you is we know that customers will have a need for various tonnage. They'll have a requirement for custom chain lengths in terms of the height of lift for your specific product. And then we also offer a suite of different safety features. These include overload protection, different brake designs, and then also chain grades. And then our lead time is, we know that with manual hoists, generally speaking, when a piece of equipment breaks, you need that replaced immediately. So we have a standard lead time of around 48 hours. Coupled with our national distribution, you should have available product to you in your local market, same day availability. So that is something that JET offers that a lot of other manufacturers cannot compete with their lengthy lead times. And then in terms of service availability, JET maintains a full line of parts availability, and we also have one of the largest approved service center networks in the country. Let's touch on that a little bit more. So JET has roughly 287 approved service centers in our network, and those are also accessible through our website. You can go into jettools.com/service centers, and you'll be able to find your local service center by zip or by service type that's in your area. We also open the opportunity, if you do not have a service center in your area and you'd like to get one set up, you can send those requests through to JET, and we will do the back work on making sure that we set up a service center in your area that can keep your products up and running as you need them. When we have a look at our overview of our products, starting with our hand chain hoists, we have essentially three different product lines. We have our S90, which is our basic functionality suite. Then we have our L100, which is our premium hoist offering in our hand chains. And then our AL100, which brings innovation to the market in a premium lightweight offering. Some of the differences between these SKUs or between these lines essentially are going to be a fused brake disc, which has a lifetime warranty, and we'll touch on why that's important when we do the product walkarounds. We also offer in our premium lines grade 100 zinc plated chain for better corrosion resistance and added strength. And then these also include overload protection for your safety. When we have a look at our lever hoists, again, we offer those same three line variants. We have a basic functionality in our JLP, then we offer a premium version with our JLH, and then a premium lightweight version in our JLA. The premium version difference between that and the standard version, you're going to have that grade 100 chain, the fused brake again, car safety latches, which are very important, that twin braking system, and then also different configurations in terms of the overall size and dimensions and the body configurations of these hoists. So let's touch on some of the safety aspects that you want to make sure when maintaining your lifting devices. We're going to start with your hooks, making sure that you know that your hook is in good working order. There's not additional saddle wear. Your hook hasn't stretched, or it's not cracked. Visual inspections that are going to take place between each use or at the beginning of each use to make sure that that hoist or that lifting device is in correct operational standard. And these ensure making sure that you've got the correct labeled product, your identification and serial plates, your working load limits are all clearly identified on your product, that your chain is not degraded, gouged or corroded. And then also you're going to look at your safety features and making sure that those are operating correctly. So what does that really look like? So we talk about hooks. Now, JET hooks are alloy hooks, and these hooks are designed to stretch and not break. The reason you want that to occur is because you don't want a situation where you don't identify the wear on that hook and how that may lead to an unsafe lifting scenario. You would clearly be able to identify that on a JET hoist because we have these dimple marks on the top shank and the top point of the hook, which can be measured between each use so that you know that those are still within tolerance and that hook hasn't stretched. We also use a cast safety latch. This prevents deformation or breakage of a standard stamped steel safety latch. These are a lot more durable and easy to identify if your hook is stretched because that cast safety latch will pop out in front of the hook. Just to see how some of these situations may occur. Incorrect rigging is one of the common practices that we'll see that causes a hook to stretch or deform. And that's when you put a undue stress on that hook where it's not supposed to be. A standard hook is designed so that your load is seated in the saddle of the hook. So that's the very lowest point of that hook. And you want to make sure that you do not point load a standard hook. We do offer shipyard hooks. These are specially designed hooks that channel the load throughout the entire length of the hook to make sure that in a point loading situation, you can do so. And you can see the difference between a standard hook and a shipyard hook in the top right-hand corner of your screen. Another aspect that you'd want to look at in terms of safety is your chain. Obviously, this is your primary lifting mechanism of your load, and you want to make sure that you are not seeing any additional wear on a chain outside of the norm. As a chain is used and as a chain is put under stress, it may stretch, and you want to make sure that you pay attention to that your links stay within spec. Every single JET hoist has an owner's manual that will clearly call out what this measurement should be between 5 successive links. So at any given time, you can do a quick check prior to use to make sure that your chain is still within spec. There are the safety mechanisms that JET employs to make sure that your chain does not see any additional wear, which may include overload protection. Other wear items on chain is additional corrosion. This is going to put additional stress on your chain itself as well as the internal components of the hoist. You want to make sure that there is no weld splatter because this can result in heat transfer to your chain and essentially makes your chain a little more brittle. So heat damage and weld splatter is something that you want to be mindful of when utilizing any manual hoist or any chain hoist. You want to pay attention to any broken, stretched, or deformed links and make sure that any hoist exhibiting any of these features are removed from service until repaired. So we'll touch on brakes, and one of the key features for JET is how we incorporate many different features, safety feature sets into our hoist as standard. Sorry. And one of these feature sets that we incorporate is a Western style dual pour brake. The advantage of this is that it bears the load between 2 points at 180 degrees on your hoist. This is different to a lot of the market competitors where you would see a single pour, which takes the entire weight of the load onto a single pour. This can result in slippage or tooth damage on these ratcheting pours, which could be a potential safety hazard. Another safety feature set that we have on our premium hoist is a fused brake. Now, the advantage of a fused brake, as opposed to an industry standard 3-piece brake, is this is far less wear on that fused brake. It is more resistant to damage through transport and dropping of the load, and our fused brake is warranted for a lifetime. So we are completely confident at JET that when you receive a manual hoist from us, whether it be one of our basic feature sets or one of our premium hoists, that the quality of that hoist, the reliability of that hoist, and the safety of that hoist is paramount to us. And that's it for our slideshow presentation. From here, we're going to migrate over to Chuck Holcomb, where Chuck and I are going to walk you through some of those feature sets and how you can actually see those play into effect with our hoist with a product walk around. All right, everyone. So this is our manual hoist lineup. We have our lever hoist and our hand chain hoist over here. And we're going to just go through some of the feature sets and the benefits to using each type of hoist. We're going to start with our lever hoist. We have our JLP range. So this is your basic functionality. These hoists include your grade 80 chain. It's going to be the dual pour brake in these. And then you also feature the cast safety latches. With this type of hoist, because you have a full length handle, you can input torque directly through this hoist and a lot more easier. Whereas for a compact, more premium option, we have our JLH series. So slightly more ergonomic, shorter throw handle design, but with a premium hoist offering, you've got the grade 100 zinc plated chain, which offers 20% additional braking strength. You also have the cast safety latches, but these hoists will include a fused brake lifetime warranty with those. These hoists also feature an overload protection, so making sure that you don't exceed the rated capacity of that hoist. Our JLA series is one of our newest releases. These are compact short throw handle lever hoists, and with these hoists, they feature a lightweight aluminum body. You'll see with our aluminum series, both in the lever hoist and our hand chain hoist, these offer a 20% to 30% weight reduction versus a standard hoist. And as all these hoists are designed to be transient, essentially moved around the job site, that additional weight saving translates to a lot more of a ergonomic and safer practice when moving these hoists around and transporting these hoists. It does not affect the capacity of the hoist at all, because the internal components are still heat-treated load plates, which bear the entire weight of your load. So you will maintain your large lifting capacities, but now within a smaller, more compact, lightweight design. A JLH is also a great lever hoist in use for fabrication when bringing plate steel together because of the short throw handle. These can also be used in inverted lifting applications. So an inverted lifting application, your hoist can be in any orientation, and your chain guard is designed to continuously feed through that hoist, no matter how it's bound up. Moving over to our hand chain hoist, we have our S90 series. This is our basic feature set. So these hoists are going to feature the dual pole brake, the black oxide grade 80 chain, and those are fantastic price point features. JET offers, in terms of its manual hoist, an unmatched value proposition out in the market. And I'll touch on that a little bit later in the presentation on how we actually achieve that value proposition and what that means for the end user. When we look at our premium series, which is going to be our L100, these hand chain hoists feature overload protection. They also have the grade 100 zinc plated chain. They include the car safety latches and the fuse brake technology. You have all those exact same safety feature sets in our AL100 series hoists, which just feature that in a more compact design, featuring that lightweight aluminum housing.
Hey, Kyle.
Yes,
I got
sir.
a quick question. Can we get Chuck to present his screen so we can get you to be a little bit larger? Is that possible?
Sure.
Okay.
So look into that.
Which one is it? I don't know how to do it.
Apologize for the technical difficulty there, everyone. Are there any questions or comments thus far on what we've presented with regards to the jet hoist with our standard steel body S90 chain hoist, or the aluminum body series that we've launched recently? The aluminum body series, as Kyle mentioned, that it is, much smaller, much lighter weight, and it does give the user the opportunity to have less fatigue when using the aluminum body hoist. That ensures that the folks on the job site are definitely grabbing the right tool for the right job and not taking any shortcuts. So, all right, I think we're back now. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Kyle. And back to you, sir.
Perfect. So I'm going to go through and just kind of highlight some of those safety feature points that we've spoken about. Primarily that, the dual pole Western style brake. This is an industry standard, and it's one of the technologies that JET hoists brought to the US. So with this technology, what it actually does is it separates the two lifting points, those two poles, by 180 degrees. So that means your load is equally displaced between two poles. So this is, at any given time, you'll have one pole being engaged, if not two poles engaged, on that load at all times. So this is going to be your safest brake available on the market. In addition to that, we're going to talk about the fuse brake versus the industry standard three-piece brake. So as it suggests, the three-piece brake is between two friction discs and then your braking hub, where a fuse brake combines all three of those pieces into one item. As you can imagine, with these units being moved around, dropped, placed into different totes, thrown into the back of a truck, These plates can shift around, causing chipping and undue stress on these plates, and they are a wear item. Whereas your fuse brake is going to prevent that additional movement. It's going to keep the brake in place where it is intended to be. And as it's spring loaded, you're going to see a lot less wear on this type of brake than you will a standard 3-piece brake. As mentioned in the presentation, JET offers shipyard hooks. Now, shipyard hooks are normally available on our lever hoists, and they include tonnages from 1.5 to 3 ton. And what a shipyard hook does is it allows you to point load. A standard hook is designed for you to rest your load right down in the saddle, where a shipyard hook is designed to point load. So you can place the load directly on the top of that hook, and it transfers that load all the way through your hook shank to make sure that that load is not stretching the hook. So we also talk about when you overload a hook or rig it incorrectly and you create that undue stress on it, 2 wear points or 2 points that you would use to identify are going to be these 2 dimples. And these are featured on every single one of our manual hoist hooks. So you'll be able to quickly measure those to make sure that your hook is still within spec and hasn't stretched.
Hey Kyle, real quick, we got a question since we're talking about hooks and inspections. The question is, what periodic inspections are required for hoists?
Most definitely. So periodic inspections are normally required under OSHA, and it all depends on your use case for most of these products. We would recommend that you do your daily inspections on your hoists. These are just visual inspections. And then you look at either, depending on your use case, going to either a quarterly or at least by very least an annual inspection on your lifting devices.
Great, thank you.
Now I'm going to talk about so JET's value proposition. Why is JET always talking about its value proposition and how we position ourselves out in the market? JET incorporates a unique suite of feature sets with each one of our product ranges. There are a lot of different options, from your chain type to your hook type to your overload to non-overload to the brake options. What JET does is we make sure that we combine these feature sets into the most frequently asked variations. So for instance, on our premium hoists, we do the grade 100 chain, we do overload protection and the fuse brake along with those cast latches. And we incorporate these as standard offerings where other manufacturers might say you can have an option for different chain variants. You might have an option to include overload protection. We make these as standard feature sets for our product. What this allows us to then do is gain operating efficiencies in terms of manufacturing, so we can reduce our cost on our product and then transfer that over to our distribution and ultimately to the end user. So JET maintains a very high quality product, as exemplified by 67 years of being in the market, continuously bringing innovation to the market, and at a price point that is unmatched by the same sort of quality hoists available in the US today. Any other questions on our manual hoist?
So just to recap for everybody, we offer a couple of different types of chain hoists. We offer our standard steel body chain hoist, and then we also offer with our overload protected options, and then we also offer our aluminum body, which is our newest and greatest launch to the marketplace. And then the same concept with our lever hoists, we have our JLPA offering, our JLH with an overload protection, and then as Kyle mentioned again, our our aluminum body in our lever hoist as well. I think Kyle is going to demonstrate, show us here the little bit of the weight difference between and the benefits of an aluminum body versus a standard steel body that is in the marketplace. In the right hand, Kyle has our steel body frame, and in his left hand, we have our aluminum body frame. You can see the difference in size just by itself. Now, Chuck's going to come in there and he'll show us, be able to see the difference. They'll talk to it, what that weight difference is there. On the left, Chuck, what do we got weighing there on our steel body frame, our steel body hoist?
Oh, we've got about, what is this? This is in pounds.
Yeah.
So I think it's about 13 pounds.
13 pounds. And then what do we have on our aluminum body there on the with you, Kyle?
5.5.
5.5. So think about that when your end user, your person in the field is choosing a hoist. let's make sure that we're giving them a much lighter weight and durable hoist, so they're not wearing themselves out throughout the day. That is the big benefit of the aluminum body. We have all the strength and durability of the standard hoist that's been in the marketplace for 67 years, but now we're offering a much better and redefined, much lighter weight unit. So the benefit is going to be less wear and tear on the individual up and down those stairs.
And one of the other features that aluminum hoists offer is reduced headroom. So we have a much smaller profile, so you can gain additional headroom clearance with your aluminum series hoist.
Next, we're going to showcase the difference between a standard lever hoist and then our aluminum body lever hoist as well. So Kyle, what do you have there? You have our 1.5 ton JLPA lever hoist. And what are we looking at weight on that one?
So we're looking at about 15.5 pounds on this hoist.
Yeah, 15.5 pounds. And Chuck's coming along over there in just a second with our aluminum body lever puller, much smaller. We talked about the difference between the chain hoist is about 30% smaller and lighter, but the lever puller is much smaller. Same advantage of much more headroom and tighter spaces to work within. But what do we got to weight there on that one, Chuck?
About 10 pounds.
10 pounds. So the lever pull, the JLPA was 15 and the aluminum body was 10. So a 5 pound difference. Again, just offering a much lighter weight and more durable option for the user in the field. Make sure they're selecting the right tool for the right job. And we have another question in the chat here. Kyle, the question is, do our manual hoists have a trip setting, upper or lower? From Bill. Bill, great question. Thank you.
So yeah, we don't have a trip setting in our manual hoist. So our ANSI ASME standard, which all of our hoists conform to, in your ANSI ASME standards, your B30-16, and there's certain subsections that would require the operator to make sure that they don't utilize the dead stop of the hoist as the ultimate stop. You should stop before you reach that final dead stop. In the case of our hand chain hoists, all of our hand chain hoists, the dead end is on your load chain, is bound to the unit, so you will not be able to drive through that. So that would be your final and your penultimate stop. But there are also safety features that JET incorporates that not many other manufacturers do. So there are certain series of our hoists that will prevent that binding up if you do go to that dead stop. In terms of our lever hoist, which you'll be able to see here, in terms of our lever hoist, the end of your load chain would feature a chain stop as well, which would prevent your chain from being fed directly through the hoist. So we do have physical stops, but there is no trigger mechanism that would stop your hoist prior to you reaching these dead stops. In terms of safety preservation of making sure that you don't overload your units, our premium hoist offerings will operate overload protection, which is a slip clutch design. These are set to make sure that you can lift your full height of lift and your full load capacity without tripping that overload protection. But if you go over 125% of that load, that rated load, that slip clutch will engage and you won't be able to go up, but you will be able to bring your load back down to the ground safely.
So we have another question from Bill. So the question is, so you cannot damage the hoist, is what he's asking.
Correct. You won't be able to damage the hoist. If you do go to the dead stop and you continue to drive through, you may damage the hoist, because what you will eventually do is start to bend the bolt that holds that load chain in place. So once you get to that point, you should stop. Our overload protected hoists, those will allow you to slip through that. So that will prevent any damage to the hoist. Hoists that don't have overload protection, you will definitely notice that increased torque that you would need to input. Essentially on a lever hoist, it's going to be the pull force, and on a hand chain hoist, it's going to feel like you are driving through the brake.
Thanks for the clarification, Kyle. Bill, great questions. Thank you. I don't think we have
Anything
any other.
else? If we're done with manual hoist, we'll transition over to one of our newest release products, which is going to be the JET Skyhiker.
We got one more. Should a hoist be taken to a service center after it may have been overloaded? So I can answer that question. So yes, absolutely, everyone. Once a hoist is overloaded, regardless if it's what brand it is, it should be taken into a service center to get recertified, because at that point you'll need to be able to re-engage it. And the nice thing with some of the with our jet hoists that have overload protection, you're able to reset that in the field. So if you do want to take that into a service center to make sure everything is properly working, by all means do so. All right. With that, we're going to jump into our newest material lift here, our Jet Skyhiker. Kyle?
Thanks, Chuck. So yes, everyone, this is the JET Skyhiker. This is the ultimate job site lift. Essentially, this is a lift capable of lifting 2,000 pounds and has a max height capacity of 25 feet. Some of the unique features on this lift is in this configuration, it can only be put into a safe lifting position. Other lifts in the market, you can actually invert the mast 180 degrees. And at that point in time, your load center is outside the base platform, which creates a tipping condition. JET has made sure that we maintain the highest safety standards. And we've designed our hoist to make sure that even in the harshest conditions, we meet and exceed a safety standard of roughly 4x times what our rated load capacity is. And we'll touch on some of the other feature sets that this hoist or this lift has compared to the other competition in the market. So as you see it now, this is in its lifting position. One of the key features that we have on our hoist on this lift in the lifting position is going to be our dual worm gear drive hoist winches. So these winches are worm gear driven, and the advantage of a worm gear drive winch, besides from the smooth operation and the lack of ratcheting, you are going to have an inherent braking force that happens within that worm gear because of the engagement between those gears. So essentially, I can remove the brake from this unit. I can suspend a 2,000 pound load, and this winch will continue to hold that load without drifting. That is the advantage of that worm gear drive. Also with that worm gear drive is you won't get into a situation where you have a drop load scenario, because there are no ratcheting paws or brake discs that could essentially result in a load just being suddenly dropped. We do have a friction disc brake that can be adjusted as your needs require, but because of that inherent braking force, that's essentially redundant. But it is safety redundancy that we incorporate into our lift to make it the safest lift in the market. You have two different settings on our winches for a high speed scenario in lifting, as well as a high torque scenario. So you have two different input shafts for your hand crank. So in this scenario right here, I have a torque advantage for the heavier load for easier lifting. And then in the shorter handle configuration, that provides for high speed and quicker lifting scenarios. We also incorporate cable tensioning flaps on our winches. So these cable tensioning flaps are designed to make sure that that cable feeds nice and evenly on that drum. This is going to prevent premature wear of your cable and also that shearing effect as your cable feeds in and out. We have a upgraded cable on this winch. So this actually has a 12,000 pound braking strength. So even when you utilize this type of lift in a choker configuration, and in a choker configuration, you would roughly lose about 25% of your rated load capacity of your cable. Because of that 12,000 pound braking strength, we are still well within our max load capacity of 2,000 pounds. Some of the other safety features that I want to call out, and Chuck, I don't know if we can see the bottom of the lift from this angle, but we have dual pin locking mechanisms. So on the base, we have this base locking mast pin over here, highlighted in red for clear visibility, and this engages with the base. In addition to that, we have a mast locking pin that is located on the pivoting mast over. Okay, Chuck, can you see this one? Perfect. Again, calling out with the red accent for clear visibility, but this pivoting mast pin engages here. So even if you forget to engage one of these locking pins, your lift is still in a safe lifting condition because you will have the other pinned into. I'm going to show you how we take this lift from the lifting position back down into the transport position, which is a feature that no other lift in the market has. So as I mentioned previously, there are double redundancies. So to do this, you would have to make sure you remove the middle mast pin, and then you lift the base locking pin. And at this point in time, all you need to do is pull the mast down, and it will stop for you in a safe position where you can then reposition it and put your mast back into location. As you can see, we still have the base spread out in its widest configuration in the lifting position. So to release those foot brake casters is very simple. These are very different to the industry standard 8-inch scaffolding caster. These feature a foot lock, a foot release on these caster brakes. To bring the legs in, the legs are cantilevered on each side. So by bringing one leg in, it will take in both the front and the back leg. Now in this configuration here, this lift has a footprint that can fit through a standard doorway. So in terms of on-site mobility, this lift is absolutely unmatched. With a profile that is roughly 32 inches wide and less than 7 foot tall, it will fit through any standard doorway. It can fit into a buck hoist as well as a freight elevator. Our lift is also designed with an engineered rigging point in the middle of the mast. So you can pick this lift up using a crane forklift from this pick point right here, and the lift stays completely balanced. So if you're working on a job site and you need to crane this onto the second, third, fourth, fifth floors, whatever it may be, that pick point is going to allow you to do so. These pick points, these engineered rigging points are also going to be great for tying the unit down onto any sort of transport that you are using to maneuver these or to send these to a job site. And also moving it around a job site is going to be straightforward because this lift never needs to come apart. Once it's assembled in this configuration, it can be stored, it can be transported just like this. Taking it back up into the lifting position is also just as simple. And I'm going to show you another safety feature on why our lift can only be put into a safe lifting position. And that's going to be down here in the base. So as you can see in this base configuration right now, it's in its most condensed form. When I open up this mast lock, there are 2 dog-ear tabs that prevent this middle mast from coming down and engaging and going into the vertical position. We have to spread the legs apart, creating a nice wide secure base platform to bring this mast back down and engage it into the lifting configuration. And I'll show you that now.
So one of the nice things that we've done with this unit is having the ability to put this in transportation mode and not have to take it apart like some of the other units that are out there. What that does is reduce the opportunity for injury with moving a large base that is like Kyle is setting in front of, and then also trying to maneuver a mast that will take a couple of people to insert it into the base unit on some of the units that are out there. And even in
Another
the
great
vertical position, you can see how mobile it really is for one person to move around.
Another great safety feature that we've incorporated onto our lift is the self-latching swivel hook. So this is a little different to your conventional standard lifting hook. And the benefit to this is as soon as you place a weight or a load onto this hook, it will shut and bind itself nice and tight. The more weight you put onto this hook, the tighter it's going to bind because of that off-centered locking mechanism. So it's a lot safer in all rigging configurations. We've also designed our hook and our clamshell headache ball to be removable. So this is a clamshell design. Removing two bolts can remove this headache ball. You can remove the hook, and then you would just retain your eyelet and your shackle, where you can then use that in a choking configuration directly back onto our load cable. JET has also incorporated a nice few touches. So our unit features a QR code on the manual tube. This QR code will navigate you directly to our landing page for this product, where you will be able to see setup videos, basic operation videos, maintenance videos, but it will also give you access to a digital copy of the owner's manual and digital copies for inspection sheets. So you can make sure that you maintain your inspection lists to satisfy your OSHA needs.
The other part too is, did you touch on the red feet at the bottom down there? The red pipe stand. That's a great feature that we've added to this unit that is not on the other units that are out there. Again, when JET brings something to the marketplace, we're talking about not just a Me Too product. We're going to bring innovation and benefits that help the user do the job safer and more efficiently.
Most definitely. Chuck, can we see these load ramps?
Yep,
So these
they're there.
load
We can
ramps
see
are
them.
designed for front loading. So if you have material located in the front of your unit that's on the ground, you can rig it up and you can transfer it back onto the legs where you would normally re-rig it before lifting it up. And what these load ramps are going to do is they're going to transfer that load nice and evenly, so it doesn't go over onto your legs and then slam into your mast. So they will transfer that load nice and uniformly onto your legs for repositioning. They also serve a dual purpose, where when you are re-rigging that load, generally piping on this lift, it won't roll off these legs. So it's going to be a material stay that's going to keep your material on your legs so you can re-rig it before lifting.
Yeah, those are two great, another great benefit to this unit is because we all know that most concrete floors on a job site or a facility are not even. So we want to, make sure we call out the safety benefit of not having an injury for someone getting their feet smashed and having to do a reportable incident.
Most definitely. We've also incorporated, Chuck, I don't know if we need a pan out for this one or tilt up, but if you look at our top tee is heavily gusseted. You'll see those V's on either side of that top tee. And those mean that we can place 2,000 pounds right on the very edge of that top tee and without seeing any deflection or damage to that top tee. So this means that this lift is a lot more versatile than the other incumbents in the marketplace, because we can actually use this not only as a material lift, but also as a high lift jack by positioning material on the top tee and lifting up. This lift is also one of the only lifts in the market that you can telescope under load, and under manufacturer's recommendations are okay to do so. So if you position a load on top of that top tee and you want to telescope up, you have 1,000 pounds of capacity to do so. Whereas the incumbent, the other competition in the marketplace, only has a limit of 500 pounds, and they actually recommend that you don't telescope under load. Because of our safety advancements and additional material that we have used, so we've upgraded cables, we are able to do so. You'll also notice that the construction of this unit is far superior to anything else you'll find out in the market. All of our material is laser cut, tabbed, and slotted, so we are able to get our tolerances nice and tight. That increases our safety standard for this type of product. In addition to this, we are very proud that this lift is manufactured in the US at one of our Edwards Ironworker locations. So this is manufactured in Albert Lea, Minnesota. at one of our another brand's locations.
Hey Kyle, we got a question. Bill chiming in, and he has a question of how far how far out horizontally does the hoist work away from the base?
Great question. So this lift is not designed in the horizontal position to lift. And we've made sure that you can't do that by the design on the top tee. It actually has a plate that sits in front of the load pulley, so that in the horizontal position where that load would be outside of this base platform, creating a tipping situation, it actually binds up the cable and you won't be able to lift. So this lift, like I said, can only be put into a safe lifting position, which is in a vertical position. And in that vertical position, you have the ability to lift roughly 20-inch piping with no issue and no interference, because your tee is going to extend out about 18 inches. There is an extended tee variant that we'll be bringing out shortly that will probably hit the market at the beginning of next year.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from anyone out there? All great questions. Now, we do have several of these units in the marketplace. So depending on where you are located at in the part of the country that are attending, we do have opportunities to present this live in a training or a demonstration. If that is something that you would like, just contact your local distributor, AD distributor, and we are more than happy to make sure that we get out there and present this with you. I think Kyle's going to touch on a couple more things. He's going to talk about our outriggers and why we would use that and what's the benefit of it.
Yes, perfect. Thanks, Chuck. So one thing I haven't touched on is who's this lift for. So this lift is predominantly designed for the MEP trade, so your mechanical, electrical, and plumbing contractors. What we've actually developed here is a product that was designed by MEP contractors. So as a design process, we came up with a concept. We took this concept to some of the largest contractors in the US. They then demoed the concept and they gave us feedback. We did this process a couple of times over a period of about 18 months until we came to our final design as it sits here in front of you. So all of these feature sets that we've incorporated have been based on direct feedback from end users on what they need out on the job site. One of the situations that you would find yourself in with a lift like this, especially one that can go up to 25 feet, is above 20 foot, your mast engagement is reduced. So at that point in time, you have some side-to-side flexibility, and above 20 feet, you need to engage a guy wire system. Guy wires essentially just run from your top tee down to these guy wire arms on the side of the unit that pivot out, and then they are attached back to the base. This allows for greater rigidity side to side, and it gives us our unit increased strength. So we can still maintain a 1,500 pound max load capacity above 20 feet. In addition to that, your guy wires need to be housed somewhere. So JET has incorporated a pull-out toolbox that sits underneath the unit that houses all your spare parts in your guy wire system. So your guy wires in here, your turnbuckles are in here. JET also includes an additional shear pin. This shear pin is your overload protection. So on a manual lifting device like this, this unit is designed to go to 2,250 pounds. So if you go above that 2,000 pound max load capacity, your shear pin will go. So that essentially will shear. You'll hear an audible ping, and the pulley, the front pulley, will drop into this L bracket attachment. So that's why we include an additional shear pin to make sure that your unit stays up and running. So that's one of the safety mechanisms that JET has incorporated into this product to keep it as one of the most efficient and safest, as well as the most mobile lift on the job site.
So again, recapping on this, we have the ability to fit through a standard 36-inch door in transportation mode. It is designed to lift vertically only. It'll go up to 25 feet in height. And basically what that is, you're getting 3 units in one compared to some of the other units that are out there. You'd have to buy different levels of height for the job. So JET is providing that all in one. Again, we have material stops. We have larger casters that are wider for smoother rolling on uneven surfaces. Worm gear driven system that provides more durability and efficiency. And we offer 2 speeds for high torque. And anything else I'm missing here, Kyle?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. You know, what we've done is we've created the ultimate job site lift in every aspect. And we've done that from the ground up approach, starting with the casters all the way through to the top tee. We've made sure that serviceability is key, that durability is key, because we know that these units are going to be kept out in all sorts of weather conditions. And we wanted to account for that in the design. So even in our mast configuration, there is no metal on metal wear. We actually have UHMW wear plates that sit between the top and the bottom of each mast section. It gives us a lot tighter engagement between those masts, but also just means that this lift is going to stay out in use much longer than anything else out in the competition.
And like you said earlier, it's made in the US here in our Edwards facility up in Minneapolis or in Minnesota. So
That's correct.
Yep.
And that
Without
is using USA steel and global components to manufacture this lift.
Yep. Anything else you want to add? I don't have, there aren't any other questions in the chat. So everyone, Bill, thank you. And Henry, thank you for asking the questions. Appreciate all of that. Is there anything else you'd want to touch on, Kyle, with regards to our material lift or our hoists?
I think just in summation from my point, you know, JET's value proposition is always going to be front of mind for me. We make a very durable, very good quality product at a price that nobody else can compete with. And I want to make sure that, you know, that is kind of transferred into the presentations and what you see here today. So this all allows you to do more with JET.
It does. And so we appreciate, Kyle, you coming on, spending the time with us today and talking about our hoists, manual chain hoists, manual lever hoists. And then, you know, as one last thing I want to touch on the hoist, we do offer electric hoists. And again, all of these items for the folks in attendance can be found through your AD distributor. Reach out to your sales rep there. And again, we do have the ability to do demonstrations for you on your job site with that. So just scheduling that with your distributor rep. So with that being said, if there aren't any other questions, I don't see that there are. I want to thank everyone for attending, and that's the end of our presentation. I'm going to turn it back over to Samantha to wrap it up.
Well, that was excellent. Chuck, Kyle, you did my job for me. I didn't have to ask any of the questions. I didn't have to worry about missing anything. So thank you so much. Now is a great opportunity. If anybody did have any lingering or lagging questions, get them into the chat. I'd also like to encourage you to reach out to the JET team to make sure that if you do have any questions or you want to connect offline, do so. We'll connect you. We'll make sure that you're getting all of those questions answered. It does look like that they can do a virtual kind of session with you. So if you have any other offline inquiries and you'd like a little more in depth, please reach out. Make sure that you're connecting with the team. So before we wrap it up today, I know we covered a lot of things in such a short period of time, but if there's anything you want our audience to take away from today, keep top of mind or make sure that they're doing everything correctly. Let us know now before we wrap it up.
Samantha, we do have a question, the late question coming in from Jose. The question is, how do we ensure lifting stability that the base are with the rollers? I think we're talking about making sure that the casters are put in place, the locks, that right, Kyle?
Yeah, so perfect. That's a great question. So obviously this base on this lift is a 60 by 60 inch platform. And the way the lift is designed is to make sure that that load center stays within that mast platform or as close to the middle as possible. You always want to make sure that you follow safe lifting practices. So you always want to lift off of level ground. In terms of our casters though, these are heavy duty industrial casters. So we don't actually have a lot of rubber on these. So the compression point is very little. They also lock in place to prevent any shifting. And each caster actually has a weight capacity of about 1,500 pounds. So we make sure that in terms of the stability of this unit, as long as you are following safe lifting practices and your main load center stays within the base, you are not going to have an issue in terms of load stability in our lift.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? All good stuff here. Well, I think that's it. Samantha, anything else?
No, that's everything. Well, thanks again, guys. I want to give you guys a huge shout out for being here today, as well as AD Safety Network for allowing you to be here today. And of course, everybody in the audience and all of our safety professionals, because without you guys, none of this would be possible. So thanks again. Take care, stay safe, and we'll send you a copy of this recording to everyone in a few days. If the team wants to provide any additional information, they'll send that over to me. But otherwise, we'll see you on the next webinar. Take care, stay safe. Bye, everyone.